this program is almost interrupting a cracking conversation that we're having here in the studio, but it is good to have you with us and with our special guest in part one of the program this evening. He's a guy that's been a perennial figure throughout my career on television, before that on radio, and a bloke that it's been my pleasure to come to know in press boxes and on gantries of football grounds quite far and wide. He's a great favourite of supporters round here, most of the clubs, even though some suspect that he supports a particular team in West Yorkshire. We will, of course, put that to him. He is John Helm. John, I'm so delighted to
What you're trying to say, I was an old man. I'm a veteran.
You're a veteran. I've actually got these words written down.
Yeah, thank you.
Veteran, I haven't highlighted. Vintage was the word.
Yeah, that's a nice word. I prefer that. Yeah.
Better, isn't it? Yeah. I'm approaching a stage where people call me veteran. I'm not sure I like it.
You're a long way away yet.
Thank you very much indeed, John. We've got a guy in the second part of the programme who's older than you.
And he runs further than I do as well.
He certainly does.
Yeah.
He's run 75 marathons in 75 days. Ray Matthews will be on part two with James Gregg. James Gregg brings a bit of youth to the studio, badly needed. Now then, John, you've been doing this forever, haven't you? And yet, the gleam on your face and in your eyes suggests you enjoy it as much as ever.
Alan, I started work on the 17th of August 1959 on a newspaper called the Shipley Times and Express, which sadly is no longer with us. Last weekend I was working in Russia, in Kazan, and I can honestly say between August the 17th, 1959 and last weekend and tonight, I've never had a bad day in my life, working-wise. I love I wake up every morning looking forward and thankful of the job that I've been given.
Aren't we lucky? I mean, you're at an age where many people are deep into retirement, but it isn't something that you would ever aspire to retire from, is it?
No.
The job might retire you. Do you ever fear that?
Yeah, of course, I do fear it. You're dead right there.
Yeah.
I'm hopeless at DIY as well, by the way. So
Well, I've noticed that. We were trying to pin World AIDS Day, World AIDS Day.
Yeah.
And my goodness, I had to do that for him.
But you're absolutely right. The day I dread, in a way, is the day where the phone doesn't go, there are no more emails. And you know, I think hopefully I will know the day. I had the great fortune at one stage of my career to be producer of Test Match Special at cricket. And there was a day at Headingley which was rained off, and John Arlott, the great John Arlott, who was one of my inspirations, was commentating, obviously, and he said to me, well, there's going to be no play today. You're going to take me back to the hotel and we're going to do a bottle of red wine. And of course we did. And
Only one?
Well, that would be telling tales.
Yeah.
But during the conversation, which I'll never ever forget, I said, John, why are you retiring? It was his last season. And he said, I want to go when I want to go, and I don't want somebody to tell me it's time to go. Right. And I feel the same, that one day something will click in there and say, John, that's enough.
Do you think you'll know the moment? You're having too much fun to know the moment.
Oh, I am at the moment, and but I do test myself. I make sure that my identifications are still good, the memory's still good. I've always had a good memory. I've been very fortunate about that, which is why I can remember my first working day. But I think, hopefully I will know that enough's enough, and you know, I will not regret it for 1 minute because I've had such a wonderful life. I think I'll be able to say, that was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. Now see if you can carry on for a few more years, just enjoy yourself.
But it is a life force. I mean, let's be honest, it's a drug. It's an addiction, isn't it?
That's what I say to my wife. I was seduced by the job, not by somebody else. You know, it is true. It is an addiction, and I find myself. You're probably the same. In cars, you're thinking about matches you've done or matches that are coming up, and for me, the travelling is fantastic. And people say, "Don't you get tired of the travelling?" I do travel a lot now. Not at all, because I'm just so grateful again of the places I'm going to, because I enjoy it. The world is a fabulous place. It's a wonderful globe that we've got here. Why not try and see all of it? There's still I've only been to 86 countries, I think it is. I've got about another 120 to go.
Fantastic. Well, for those who don't know, and I'm sure you do know, but sometimes you might need reminding of it, as I did, I just checked John's Wikipedia page just to be sure of everything that I really knew. He started at Radio Leeds way back, Radio 2. This was before Radio 5. I mean, both of us actually worked for, I was quite regular match reporter on Radio 2 before it became 5 Live, and you were a senior man, weren't you, covering...
I think that those were the most important days of my career, because I was working with Desmond Lynham, Cliff Morgan, Peter Jones, Brian Butler, Jim Rosenthal, Peter Brackley, all household names, Derek Thompson, Ian Robertson, Chris Ray. I could go. We were all in the same office together. And I think we all wanted to be as good as one another. We all admired one another, which was an essential tool, I think, for the job. And I just knew that I was in a special era. And with all due respect to today's broadcasters, many of whom are very good, by the way, I don't think there's ever been a team to beat that team that we had, which was in the 70s.
And what a pool of learning that was. Radio 2, and then of course ITV, YTV, regional commentator here following Martin Tyler, who's still going strong himself at Sky. You've commentated on golf, cricket, rugby league especially. Off tube, you do a lot. Will travel really. But just going back over that, I think another thing, much as you relish the job, we all have disappointments and doors close when they shouldn't close. And how have you managed to cope with that is a difficult aspect?
Well, you know, there's one day that crystallises that as a fact. I'd been working for Channel 5 doing their football. I followed on from Jonathan Pearce a few years ago. Really enjoyed it. And then the producer, Robert Charles, who was my old boss at Yorkshire Television, came up to see me in Leeds one morning, and I suspected, he said, Helm, I'm sorry, but they've decided to have a change. And, you know, you won't be doing the commentary. I'm obviously disappointed, understood. At least he had the guts to come and tell me face to face. I got in the car, the phone went, and it was a guy called Mark Wallace asking me to front the European Championship coverage for UEFA. So that was 20 minutes after I'd just got the sack, if you like, from Channel 5. So what an amazing world, isn't it?
The life of a freelance.
You do have disappointments. The life of a freelance. I was also disappointed. I've only missed one World Cup, Football World Cup, since 1978. I didn't do France in 1998 because ITV were taking on Peter Drury. Somebody had to miss out. That somebody was me. Disappointed, but then you find something else. So I began doing a lot of work for FIFA then, and I started doing a lot of golf. I was actually doing golf that year instead of the World Cup in France. I was actually in Paris commentating on golf. So, you're right, one door closes and another one, your hope opens.
You must identify with players who miss out or on the bench or don't even get on the bench for a big occasion when something like that happens. It must hurt right deep inside. Oh,
it does. You know, you never forget the word. You never forget the phone call. I worked for 9 years doing the Champions League. What a lucky guy I've been. I used to go every week to watch AC Milan versus Barcelona, and the following night Real Madrid against Besiktas, and then I'd be off on Channel 5 on the Thursday doing Spartak Moscow against Ipswich Town, and back for the weekend here. And then I got a phone call again to say that they were going not in another direction, but they weren't sending a commentator any longer. Things were going to be done off tube, as we call it, in London. So then that 9 years finished, but here I am, and that's quite a few years ago now. And I'm still probably busier than ever. It's crazy.
I don't know if your age is a matter of public record of those who go on Wikipedia, so I dare say I'm at liberty to mention
it. Absolutely. You tell me.
You're 70, well,
I'm 74,
You're 74?
I'm 74, and loving every single second of it. And, you know, Alan, I think I'm fitter than I was when I was 64. I went to Petra recently in Jordan and walked for 7 hours and went right up to the top, to the monastery, 800 and odd steps. I got on a treadmill. You know, Ray would be impressed by that. I go on a treadmill every morning to try and keep fit, and I think it's body and soul.
He's walked a mile to the studio. You know, he couldn't guide him to outside the door. So
I'll give you the car park fee later.
Pons Forge, and you do realise there's no fee for this as well.
I do realise. I wouldn't want one.
There's a post-programme pint. It's amazing how many people are coming for a pint. Let's get it to round here. The only element of controversy, and I've had some wonderful, heartwarming messages on Twitter for which I thank everybody today. You've provoked a fantastic response. People hold you in genuine respect and warmth and affection. I've got messages too numerous to mention, but I will mention one or two. But the only element of controversy is, you know, as ever with all journalists, which team they support. And one guy. Well, he's not a guy because he went under the handle of Concrete Generation. I think he's based in Sheffield. Can you ask him if he's still a Leeds fan?
What's the gentleman's name?
He didn't give one.
Listen, this is categorical. In 1953, I went to watch the love of my life. They're called Bradford Park Avenue. That is my team. I'm vice president of the club, and I've supported them ever since. Now, I know people in Sheffield used to think, I don't know, Leeds United. No. I watched Leeds a lot. At the time, I was working for the Yorkshire Evening Post, and I was Yorkshire Television when they were a good side. You know, you can everybody reels off the team, don't they? I'm not going to do it that way. Cooper, Bremner, yeah, exactly. So I was there. I was at Liverpool, as you know, on the night when they won the league in 1968, and I was in Europe when they were playing in all the finals. But a Leeds United fan, no. I'm a Bradford Park Avenue fan. Yes, Bradford Park Avenue. My team struggling, bottom 3, but we're on the move. We've won 4 out of the last 5.
And you're even president of the club.
I'm vice president of Bradford Park Avenue.
Vice president. There you are. It's got to be his team. You've got to believe that. Yeah. It eliminates his second question, which is he still married to Howard Wilkinson? So we don't need to put that one to
No. What I will say, Alan, I am a supporter of every Yorkshire club, and I mean that sincerely. From my days at Yorkshire Television, because I've been so well treated.
Me too.
Bramall Lane, Hillsborough, Boothbury Park, and I will include, although it's not Yorkshire, your Lincoln Cities and your Chesterfields, because they've been great to me as well. I'm going to Chesterfield this weekend. I love going to all of these clubs.
Team. That's my team. Nobody believes that either.
You admit to that as well.
I admit to it, and I'm delighted to admit to it, but a lot of people don't believe
Well,
it.
in 1955, I paid my first visit to Saltergate with Bradford Park Avenue. Chesterfield beat us 2-0, and they had a team with Powell in goal.
Yes, Ron Powell.
Ron Powell was in goal, yeah.
I don't remember back this far, by the way. I wasn't watching, but I do remember the
most of them. Burrell was playing, Smallwood was playing, Hutchinson was playing, Havenhand was playing, Whittle, who became a Bradford Park Avenue, Ernie Whittle, he was playing. So I remember probably more names than you do. Dave Blakey.
You do. Dave Blakey, I do remember playing just. He did say he got a good memory. We're going to test it. He's got a party piece. I'm not sure if we should save this for the second part of the show. You know the old ploy about keeping people watching.
Yeah.
All 92 league clubs he can rattle off in, I think, 26 seconds-ish.
That was for the Guinness Book of Records. I'll do it for you with pleasure, Alan.
Thank you.
It's not a problem.
Thank you.
You queued me up nicely there, didn't you? I'll tell you very quickly, if I can, how it started. There was a thing called BBC Brain of Sport, and these people who could tell you who the timekeepers were at a boxing match in 1920 were competing against one another. And we put up a team from BBC against them, and we had to sit an exam in the office. And the 3 who won the exam were myself, Des Lynam, and Christopher Martin Jenkins, and we took them on. So Peter Jones was the question master. I said, as a laugh, Peter, when it's my first question, just ask me to name all the teams in the County Cricket Championship, which was Derbyshire, Essex, Glamorgan, Gloucestershire, Hampshire, Kent, Lancashire, Leicestershire, Middlesex, North, Somerset, Surrey, Sussex, Warwickshire, Worcestershire, Yorkshire. Took about 3 seconds. So then the second part of the question, he asked me to name all the teams in the Rugby League. I said, well, it was Barrow, Backley, Blackpool, Bradford, Bramley, Cardiff, Carlisle, Castleford, Chorley, Dewsbury, Doncaster, Featherstone, Fulham, Halifax, Huddersfield, Hull, Kingston Roads, Hunslet, Highton, Keighley, Leeds, Nottingham, Oldham, Rochdale, Runcorn, Ellis, Salford, Swinton, Sheffield, Swinton, Trafford, Wakefield, Warrington, Whitehaven, Windsor, Wigan, Workington and York. So then it came round to the big one, which...
Yes, I know. We're going to get you to do it in part 2. But what I want to do is get that tape, and I want to slow it right down, guys, through there, Phil.
Make sure I don't miss anybody out.
And just slow the tape down so that he hasn't missed anybody out.
No, I put one in twice there, funnily enough.
Did you?
I did. I slipped one in twice there.
It's fantastic. In part 2, folks, all the 92 Football League clubs actually qualify in that 1991.
1981. That's when I did it.
So there's a few names that got out of the league.
Sorry about that.
But no. I mean, you'd have to be constantly working at it otherwise, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So the state of football now in Yorkshire, which I know that you still follow closely.
Oh, I do.
The 2 Sheffields, it's been depressed for long enough, but just stirrings now. At both clubs, that things are moving in the right direction. Do you feel that too?
Yeah, I like the style of football. That's what gets me. I have to say, I went to Bramall Lane for 2 or 3 years and didn't enjoy the football. No. And for me, it's an entertainment industry, and the people who pay their money on a Saturday, and you and I are lucky, we don't have to pay.
Indeed.
But they have a right to be entertained for what they pay, and some of the quality of the football wasn't great. Sheffield Wednesday went through a horrible spell, didn't they, a few years ago, where it wasn't entertaining at all. But I do feel now, from what I've seen of both of them, they score goals. Indeed. Both teams are capable of scoring 3 in a match, probably even more sometimes. So I think things are going along the right lines.
Yeah, and they're very different. What never ceases to amaze me is how 2 football clubs only 3 miles apart can have such a different identity, such a different feel. The whole feel. There could be at either end of the country, you know, apart from the accents and the traditional sort of values that surround them. Do you feel that when you go to Hillsborough and Bromley? They are different, aren't they?
Oh, they're totally different. Even the supporters can be different.
Yes, they can.
And I also think what astonishes me on Derby Day, all these foreigners suddenly accept that it's a more meaningful match than any other match all season.
Yeah.
So they might, like Mirocevic, come from, what was he, Croatia, Yugoslavia, whatever he was at the time.
This was 83, Jack Charlton.
Absolutely.
Ansi Mirocevic, yes. He scored in the semi-final.
Correct, he did, yeah. But whoever they are, they buy into it. They buy into this Derby Day, and this is the match you must not lose above all else, you know. And it's amazing, no matter where they come from, on that day, they have the passion in that jersey, don't they?
Yes, they certainly do. And I share with you that I want all the Yorkshire clubs to do well. I have a genuine affection for you. You can't keep going to these grounds and places, see these people, and not have an affection for them.
Well, it's people as well, isn't it? You and I know a lot of people. We know a lot of managers. We've done hundreds of managers over the years. Boards, we know the directors, we know the fans, the people you see. Every time you go to Oakwell, you see the same people. Every time you go, I was nearly said Millmore then. Every time you go to the New York Stadium, is it called that? Is it still called that? Right, I'm okay. I'll see Howard Webb, or I'll see somebody who is a Rotherham United, Eric Twigg, a Rotherham United fanatic. And okay, they're at the bottom at the moment, but they are Rotherham supporters, and they'll be Rotherham supporters next year if they come back or if they go down again, because that is their club. Like Bradford Park only was my club. But that is absolutely true. It's about people. It
is, and you've seen that cycle, so there's no need for despair. It does come back round again. Well, it may take a little longer than we'd hope. Leeds United, people here in Sheffield are fascinated by the soap opera of Leeds United. We can be fascinated. It's infuriating if you happen to be a Leeds supporter, which you're not. No. But you've observed it, and you must be tearing your hair out at times.
Well, you and I have both been banned there for no reason at all.
We have. Me for longer than you. You were only banned for a couple of games.
Yeah, I was banned for a couple of games.
This was by Ken Bates.
Yeah.
I was banned for 7 years by Ken Bates. No, the whole of his reign.
I only served a two-match ban, which wasn't even an article I'd written. It was somebody else who'd written the article.
Let me tell you, I didn't miss much. The 7 years.
Well, that's the point. I went there. I've been there once this season. They beat Burton, and actually the team played not badly. And what I was told was that the owner was keeping his nose out a little bit, and the manager was being allowed to get on with it. Which is what has been the problem for the last 3 or 4 years. No matter who the manager has been, they've not really been allowed to get on with it. And they wouldn't say that publicly, of course, but it's absolutely true. And there were 1 or 2 crazy appointments. You know, with all due respect to Dave Hockaday, who couldn't do it at Forest Green Rovers, and the foreign guy he brought in from Slovenia or somewhere.
Whose name is... I've forgotten it. I thought you'd remember it.
No, everybody forgot it within a week or 2. You know, impossible. You know, he sacked good people like Brian McDermott and Neil Retford, good people. But the fans are the people, again, that you despair for, because they don't deserve to be treated like that. They really don't. And that's why I do like certain clubs. I like Grimsby, by the way, as well, because they went out of the league, and I saw the chairman getting fearful stick that day at Burton when they went out of the league. But they're back in the league after 6 years, and it's still the same chairman. He's stuck to it, and he's got them back in there.
Isn't it thankless? Would you ever invest in a football? Could you ever buy a football club?
You are joking. Absolutely. No. Well, I do. Bradford Park Avenue.
Well, you do.
I do invest, but that's at a great level. I love that level. It's a really good standard of football.
You don't get the abuse and whatever that some of the owners get.
Some people will give abuse, not necessarily to me, because they know
you're not there.
They know I'm a fan. I'm never there. No, I've seen us 5 or 6 times this
You're in
season.
somewhere like Japan. Are you going to Japan or something?
Yeah, I got to Japan this weekend. Yeah, I got back last weekend from Russia, and I was in India at the start of the week. So I went from Chennai, 90 degrees, to Kazan, -10 in 48 hours. And I'm Japan this weekend for the Club World Cup, which I look forward to.
Goodness me. Well, do you know, we said just before when we were chatting right up to the titles rolling, that 20 minutes would fly by, and it has. And you know, that's part 1
Have we done 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the good news is that we have part 2, which is slightly longer, of 24 minutes, during which, in less than 30 seconds, John Helm is going to recite all 92 league clubs. Record it. please record it and check it that he gets.
I'll do it slowly if you like. Do it in 35 or something.
No, quickly.
No,
Or
okay,
do it twice. Ray Matthews, the marathon runner extraordinaire, will join us, and young James Gregg to bring the average age down to something respectable in the studio.
Anybody would do that.
Rejoin us in 5 minutes. See you then. See you.